Welcome back, audience. Hope you're doing good. Cheers. As always. And in this video, I want to talk about Matrix, as always, but this time I just want to clarify something because I was just thinking about it like in a best way to integrate to live this life. And reality is that what I'm talking about is mostly a internal shift. You can be participating in that society and be not part of it. um okay, now ideally, eventually, just naturally, you will tend to create your own little crib, so to speak, away from that nonsense with your own tribe. That's naturally going to happen, hopefully eventually, in a sustainable way, where you have like your own little world, separate economy, going to be completely independent. That's the ideal, right? But we still gotta participate in that society, right? Like, to a certain degree, until we completely um, on a Web 3.0 type of life. But because it's not, you know, it takes time. It takes time. Like I'm doing it and I can see how it takes time. Um, in the meantime, we have to depend on the structures that's already been in the matrix. And the way you do it, of course, everything built law is corrupt, and the whole society is corrupt, is accepted to be normal. But the point what I'm trying to make here is that you want to be a pretend citizen. In the matrix they said, like, hey, you just be, as far as the matrix is concerned, just be an innocent folk. you know um and you do your magic away from it. It also kind of ego check, because if you are not uh you know loud and you just do your thing, then there's no problem for you. Unless you really want to boast, then there's problems. But if you're fine to be looked at as just an innocent matrix participant, then you won't have a lot of problems. And in a way, you'll find, I mean, the idea of this game is to be in a perfect relationship with everything and everyone. With, like, the worst thing, you still have to have a relationship with that worst thing. Like, it may be that um, just a hard no, but that no still has to be without the fire, without the anger. It has to be already made no internally through peace or bliss, kind of thing, right? If you say no like that, then it's sorted, which means you are in a relationship with that thing. You're not sort of looking away from it, you're facing it. That's the reality of it. And you've already alchemized everything about it. So you have a specific relationship that doesn't really trigger you anymore. And you almost like allowed it to exist in the same place as you exist, um, but have a specific relationship. And see, in that contrast, you see, like, well, that is definitely not what I am. I know a lot of people talking about, oh, you are everything and everything, but no, in this game, we're here to learn exactly who we are in the contrast of everything else. So you see what I'm trying to say? We have to live a life, at least for a little bit, to be in a contrast and relationship. We look at the worst things and the best things. You know, the worst things and the best things, and not trying to get rid of the worst things. It's almost like we gotta live that, be completely at peace with what is, with everything in the world, and everybody in your relationship. You see, sometimes, like, um, uh, some people are quite deep in the matrix, right, and quite like acting on NPC mode, but there has to be a relationship between you and that person. There be nothing is coming from that person, but there's something about you that kind of understands, accepts that on a fundamental level. There's no strife, there's no conflict between you and that person who's kind of deep in the matrix. You know exactly what they would do in any particular situation. You're just not gullible anymore. You're not going to put yourself in that situation. So the person is not dangerous to you anymore. And you can kind of even hang out with that person, even though that person normally would just, if push comes to shove, would stab you in the back. You see? Because it's like, that's how really being out of the matrix, where you can just talk with anybody as a cartoon characters in this cartoon experience that we're having, and not take anything personal. So this what I'm saying is, I'm not sugarcoating like some of these people out there, um and just going like, oh, you are everybody, you're everything, and ignoring the real fact of why we're here and why we're in this contrasting thing, to find out what you are in the contrast of things. And yes, that thing that is in the contrast of thing is also you, helping you to individualize and to understand what you are fundamentally. If not for them, you would not find out who you are. In fact, like, you would need to really dark people. You need to be in a sort of relationship with a really, I don't mean that type of relationship, but some relationship internally, like even looking at that person and knowing what that person is doing, and still having certain type of compassion for that person. um Not that you're like celebrating that thing, of course not. You just understand that that is necessary there, so I know what I am in the conscious of things. And it's almost like once we already have a perfect puzzle pieces put together, where everybody, every single person, every single type of a person in your life that you ever knew, and so you have a specific relationship with that person internally, and of course externally, if that's going on. So that is sort of like how you really fit in the world, and you can quote unquote fit in the matrix as well. It's sort of like a paradox is that once you're in a complete perfect relationship with everything, and you're like almost like this it's almost like this lightning ball that just kind of fits in all the cracks that are necessary as you go through life. And so you fit in any possible situation in a perfect way, in any possible relationship in a perfect way. You sort of become that freaking liquid, like the Terminator T-1000, I think. Just whoop, 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 and changing as things are going. And then something tells me that when you live a life like that, when a complete acceptance of everything and everybody, then, and it's not easy to be in a complete acceptance, you see, of the way things are and the relationships you have. It's not easy. That's the alchemy 101. That's what the alchemy is. Alchemy is establishing a perfect relationship with everything and everybody. It's like what I was talking about, this neutron star. Neutron star is essentially, actually, in every center of the galaxy there's a neutron star. I'm just predicting this. I don't think that scientists are talking about, but I guarantee that that's what it is at every center of the galaxy. And you are like that center of the galaxy ultimately. And why neutron star is such a perfect thing, because you have a black hole and then you have a neutron star. A black hole sucks all the old matter that's already kind of recycling, but then it shoots out these gamma beams. For neutron star does that, poof, and it places again in the next cycle a fresh, renewed information that's basically a fulfillment of your desire. And you see, this is why the first matter that goes into the black hole, that's an old information, that's your past that you are don't want. And then that neutron star beams those gamma rays up and down and creates another new layer that is coming to you, but you gotta wait a little bit, right? Because then the old matter has to keep on journeying like that, right? So there's this delay, but you know it's coming. You know, if you started doing this thing, you know, 2 years ago, then I don't know how long is the cycle, but it could be like 10 years. In 10 years, you're gonna meet yourself that the work that you did 10 years ago, and that's gonna be like, wow, you will see what you actually did 10 years ago. Because sometimes when you do alchemy, you see, you know, yes, there is an internal reward after you alchemize everything, because it just feels incredibly good after you just face all the shit, you know, burned all the shit away, and you find that little gem, and it just sparkles as fuck. That's a reward in itself. But what it will do, you don't yet see, and will blow your mind. So that's it for today. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.